Hey, good afternoon, everyone. TJ All, it's a 5:45 now and Galveston now. Welcome to another edition of What You Need to Know with Dr. Philip Keiser. Dr. Philip Keiser is the local health authority for Galveston County, as well as the interim CEO of the Galveston County Health District and Coastal Health and Wellness. Dr. Keiser, thanks for coming on with us. As always, glad to have you along. Let's start off with a bit of good news right now. You made this announcement last week anyway, but we thought we'd have a little fun with this because you had a little pizza party for a lot of staff.
Yeah.
More than 70% of the eligible population in Galveston County now is vaccinated. Congratulations on that. But congratulations mainly to those healthcare workers that you wanted to make sure you celebrated last week with a little pizza party of some sort, right?
Yeah. So, we've been steadily vaccinating people ever since we've started vaccines. And after we've closed Walter Hall Park, the visibility of it may not have been nearly as high as you would expect. But, we've been going out into communities. We've had actually a drive-through here when there was a lot of demand for booster shots. We've gone into the jail multiple times. We've done things on cruise lines, just basically any place that we can go and vaccinate people, we've done and will continue to do. But this was an important number because I actually had a friend of mine who said, you'll never get to 70% in this county because it's just too conservative and people won't do it. But we made it. And so I was just very proud of everyone. And I wanted to take a little time and say thank you for all the hard work that they've done. And so we got together, we had some pizza and some cookies and had pictures of people working throughout the year and the work that they've done, and put it up on the board and some slideshows, and everybody just had a good time. And so I was really just very, very appreciative of all the efforts that everybody's put in.
Well, and you see you there addressing all of them. And this was something you said when you got to that mark that was important for you to, come on out there and say thank you to all of them for that. And obviously not everyone can make it. You got to see the faces, folks, of some of the folks there for our viewers that have been out there working the front lines in this.
Yeah.
We hear a lot about, the fight over vaccine mandates or mask mandates, or even the suggestion of the vaccines and the like.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder, though, when you talk about 70% of a vaccination rate of an eligible population, compare that to other, we know that it doesn't even come close to that for the flu. So
Right.
instead of all the hand wringing we're doing on the others, should we be more focused on the fact that, hey, quite frankly, almost 2/3, well, more than 2/3 when you think about it, almost 3/4 of the population said, yeah, we want to go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Isn't that something that's a little more remarkable than the hand wringing we're doing on the other stuff?
No, I think so, and I think that's one of the things is that anytime you increase the value of anytime you make something a big deal, you increase its value, right? Whereas if it's like you must get vaccinated, people recoil. Whereas you go, oh, come on, and everybody else is doing it, and it's and I think it's slowly having an effect. We're actually at a point where almost 90% of those above 65 have one shot in arms. We're at 89%, and some, change percent with one shot in arms, and almost 85% of over 65. So, so in terms of those people that really need it, the word's getting out and people are listening. And we recognize that there's some people that just aren't going to do it, but it's so much better than the flu. It's so much better than any other vaccine. It's better than women getting pap smears. It's better than women getting mammograms. It's better than the general population getting screened for colon cancer. And these are all very important things. So I think the efforts have been worthwhile. And we knew that our second 25% was going to be a lot harder than our first 50%. But sure enough, we got to this point, and we're looking forward to moving forward.
And again, I wonder if we should be just like taking a look for what it is and to say, hey, this was successful. I think a lot of times you'd like to have it 90, 100%. It's never going to be 100, but that it is successful in that effort. And I wonder then on the flip side of that, because it has been successful, we still hear this kind of vaccine resistance. Should the whole tone be like, get away from even, and I know that's not happening on the state level, but we know the federal level is talking about this. Should it be from a public health perspective of, listen, we're not going to get that percentage anyway. Quit pushing this down people's throats. Let's just educate and go to the regular philosophy as we do on everything else. Educate people, encourage them, and then go from there.
Yeah. Well, mandates typically have fallen under the legislature, and and so there are, like I said before, I think there's some people that should be vaccinated. If you're going to be a frontline worker in an emergency room or be on a COVID ward, it's probably a good idea that you get vaccinated. But I think a lot of other times that we create more, and we've learned this the hard way, we create more tension and more resistance by trying to do a hard sell and trying to make people do it. At some point, we're going to have a point where we're going to see this become something that's just kind of here, and it comes and goes, and we have to deal with it on a regular basis. And I don't know if we're there yet, but we're getting a lot closer to that.
One of the things that is also maybe worth celebrating when the word gets out about it is the vaccine approval for those younger than 12, that 5 to 12 age. We've got it on two fronts going on right now. Both Pfizer and Moderna both have at least stuff in the pipeline there. Talk about that and the hope that folks are going to have for that, because we know there's a lot of interest there. And in fact, we should point out that the health district launched a survey to find out from the public how much interest there is in getting the vaccine and what so you can get a plan. Because right now, y'all still trying to plan to put together how to get those shots into arms, are you not?
Right. So the FDA board is meeting literally as we speak for the Pfizer vaccine. And what's in front of them is a proposal to approve Pfizer vaccine for kids between 5 and 11 years old. It'll be about a third of the dose. It's actually going to come in different vials. It doesn't require the same degree of refrigeration, which means that it can be spread out much more rapidly. The problem with Pfizer when it first came out, because it required that cold storage chain, it could only go to places that had these super cold freezers, like UTMB and other universities. But the way this is going to be rolled out, it's going to look different. It'll actually be able to be sent directly to doctors' offices if they have a decent refrigerator. And we've been working both with UTMB and have had discussion with school superintendents about how we could roll this out. We're looking at probably the second week of November, because remember, this week, even if the FDA approves it, then it's got to go to the CDC's advisory board. And once they approve it, then we can actually get it in our hands. So this week it's the FDA, next week it's CDC, and we're looking for the week after that. We anticipate that probably about half of the parents will want to vaccinate their children. And as we base that on a couple of things. When we look at how many kids between the ages of 12 and 18-year-olds were vaccinated, it was about half. And now we've actually sent out a survey, and the schools sent it out to parents as well. And we've got a pretty good response. As of yesterday, I think there were over 500 parents that have responded. And it's pretty much 50-50. Most parents either really want it or really don't want it for their kids. And there's a small slice right in the middle there that is saying that, well, I'm not sure, let's wait and see, but it's about like 49 to 48% yes versus no. So with that, we know that there are about 25,000 kids between that age group in the county. And so between the health district and UTMB, we've ordered about 10,000 doses so that we can make sure that those kids get vaccinated. And we're going to see what the demand is. We may have a kickoff event in say, in the southern part of the county and then the northern part of the county. But for the most part, I think that this will probably be by appointment. Either come to the health department or go to your doctor's office, and they'll have the vaccine for you. So that's what we're expecting. We still have to wait to see how much vaccine we get. We've asked for 10,000 doses. We don't know if we're going to get that many. I think a lot of it depends on what the demand is nationwide.
When we talk about with the survey, if people want to sign up for that, We have the link for you online. We also put it into the comment section.
Mhm.
It's kind of a long there, forms.office.com/G/JHUDRVFVNGA. We've made it a little bit easier on you folks. If you just go into the comment section, we have the direct link there for you there. But we have to work on that a little bit to have a little something a little bit easier.
Yeah, I was gonna say go to the health district's website. There's a direct link.
Yeah, that's a lot easier for it, but that's the direct link for you there. We do have it going on. Obviously, a lot that's been talked about here now with not the vaccines, with COVID-19 is the long haul effects. And you said there's been a lot more talk about that. Can you talk about it? Because and I've shared this with plenty of people myself about this. I've got this brain fog that keeps kind of like popping up.
Yeah.
And it's not, hey, my usual lack of sleep or something like that. It is really something that has to be looked at, I think, and for folks in general. Just what are we finding more and more now? Because I'm one of those. I didn't hospitalized, but anyway, I just wanted to give you a chance to talk about that.
Yeah, so the long haul can be a variety of different things. There are people that have persistent pulmonary symptoms. They feel like they can't breathe, even though on the face of it, their lungs are okay. They didn't have bad pneumonia. There are people that have persistent fatigue. They just are really, really tired. There are people that have this persistent fogginess. One of my employees who had it described it as 6 beers without the buzz. There are people that have problems with their taste and smell, and it just seems to go on and on and on. And the real problem is that it gets very wearing once these symptoms go on and they don't go away. We really don't know what to do about it. We can understand why these things happen because we know the virus gets inside people's brains, and we've known that from very early on. But we don't know how long some of these problems will last. And I think, when we talk about, particularly now that younger children are getting eligible for the vaccine, that's one of the things we're concerned about. We're less concerned about them dying. We know that they don't die very often, but we are concerned about them having long-term symptoms, which may affect their learning or ability to do well in school. Right now, what should people do if they have these symptoms? UTMB does have a COVID clinic, and it's really in a position right now where they're working with, they have pulmonologists to talk about lung issues. They have a psychologist to try and address some of the thinking issues, and really just try and understand it better and try different things to provide somebody there you can work with to see if you can help you through these symptoms. One of the odd phenomena, though, that I've seen in more than one person is that people will have these symptoms for a long period of time, then something else will happen. They'll get a cold, they'll get something else, and then boom, it goes away. And again, we don't know why that is, but clearly, something happens and a reset button happens, and then the brain, starts working normally. But I think it's going to be a long time before we really understand all of the long-term consequences of this virus.
And it gives us a chance to talk about that. UTMB does have a long haulers program.
Mm-hmm.
You can find out more about that to find out what you can do. And it's something that if you're somebody who had COVID, whether it was mild or not, and to follow up on those to see what's happening there. We do have a couple questions in from some viewers already. I thought we'd get to those, and forgive me, I'm getting a little distracted. We have some breaking news going on in Dickinson right now. So let me just kind of tell folks about this. We have a police standoff happening on Easy Street in Dickinson right now. We do have a crew en route. So I'll let you know. That's why you see me kind of looking away every once in a while and to get that out there, go around. So let me go back on this question here. Susan Matamoros asks us, when will the Moderna booster be available? My husband and son were vaccinated back in April and May. Will they receive notifications when their boosters are available? There's some kind of confusion about that. Can you explain how this is working out for folks?
They can. Yeah, people can get their Moderna booster right now, and
right.
So you can come to the health department. You can probably call up your local doctor to see what they've got it. The Moderna booster is half the dose, and we have that available and are ready, willing, and able to give it to people.
And we should point out my booster, even though I was Pfizer, was Moderna, was my booster. I
Yeah.
was one of those mix and match people
Yeah, that's right.
early on, and while it wasn't, that wasn't the word for word what was supposed to happen, that's what we did. We,
Yeah.
made a judgment call and did that when the clinic first opened, when the drive-through clinic
Yeah.
boosters first opened up. So, Susan, hopefully that'll help you there. So go now,
Yep.
and that'll give us a chance to go ahead and tell you that the health district's hours need to make an appointment. We have the link there for you, and for from Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 3:30, and then extended hours on Wednesdays until 6 o'clock. So you get to go until 3:30 today, or so a little less than half an hour. You won't make it today, so go ahead and plan on going tomorrow if you haven't done so already. And then this is something that's come up a lot. Why are so many adverse reactions to the shot? In all reality, what percentage? Because we hear the news of, oh, I got sick. You talked about this. Someone said, oh, I was sick, or I've been feeling bad, and but have there been any diagnosed long-term effects from one of the vaccines so far?
Very, very minimal. So the big thing that everyone is worried about, obviously, is the myocarditis and pericarditis in young men, and in almost all of those cases, in fact, I'm not aware of anyone having any serious long-term side effects from that. In children, for the most part, they do just fine. There has been something called Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is seen with all vaccines. It's not just the COVID vaccine. Very, very rare with COVID, very, very rare with all of the other vaccines. This is something where the nerves actually lose their coatings, and people have weakness that kind of starts to ascend up their body. So we would recommend anybody has that after getting a vaccine, regardless of what it is, you should go see your doctor right away. But again, that's less than 1 in a million, probably even less than that. In terms of immediate side effects like anaphylaxis, which is where people have a cardiovascular collapse, that's about 1 in 4 million people that have that with the vaccine. So all in all, when you stack this vaccine up against other vaccines, it's an extremely safe and effective vaccine. I think where people stumble is that this idea that the vaccine is perfectly safe. Well, that's not true. It's not perfect, and it has its weaknesses. It's not perfect in preventing people from getting COVID, but it's much better than not being vaccinated. Much less likely to get really sick, much less likely to die, much less likely to transmit it to other people. So when you add it all up together, the benefits of the vaccines really outweigh the differences. Now, there is this phenomenon, I think, which a lot of us experience, is that when you get your second shot, you have, you can have fever and achiness, and you just feel bad. I thought I felt terrible after I got my COVID vaccine. Then I got my shingles shot, and I felt really bad. And I'm thinking, oh my God, the COVID vaccine was a piece of cake compared to this.
Yeah.
So a lot of these things are very relative.
Yeah, the shingles was the one that got me. It really slapped me pretty hard as well.
Yeah.
Had a question also to our comment section a little bit lower here. Will there be any, Regina Haley asking, will there be any more drive-through vaccinations for that? Now, you had talked about that for the youngsters, 5 to 11, probably not the smartest way of doing that.
Right.
But is there thought of bringing back, because it's been kind of a mix. I found some folks that felt more comfortable going through a drive-through.
Yeah.
But we found that wasn't it true though that most said, I'd prefer to go in somewhere, or is it been a mix?
It's a mixed bag, and on top of it, it really drive-throughs require a lot of resources, right? So not only do you have to have the vaccinating team, you have to have all the support staff out there. You have to have people directing traffic. You have to have safety officers to make sure that people don't get run over or fall down from the heat. And when you add it all up together, it's really a very labor-intensive type thing. So if the demand isn't there and we can do it inside, we prefer to do that. One, we get out of the weather, and we never know what the weather's going to be like in Texas. And then on top of it, it's just much easier, and we don't need as many people to vaccinate the same number of people. Once we start doing over about 1,000 people a day, we have to move it outside.
And how has it been since you've gone to that indoor the coming up to because has it been pretty consistent with how many folks can come in?
No, it goes up and down, and as we were doing boosters, we started doing boosters, and we had lots of COVID cases. Obviously, we had to do a drive-through, and then after the hurricane, we had taken everything down, and we said, okay, let's see what the demand is, and it was less than 1,000 people a day. Now we've done, I think, if we did 500 people last week, I would be surprised at that. So it tends to go up and down, and demand is higher when we see a lot more cases. People, like they feel the presence of it. But as the numbers go down, they go, oh, well, I'm not so sure. The numbers are down. I don't need to get it done. But actually, that's the time to go ahead and get it.
Another question I had, Regina Haley also making a question was new variants to be a concern about that point. We're still talking about Delta variant, which again, the name changed midway through. It was the Indian variant and then became the Delta variant. So just, that's one and the same. But we've heard about some different variants that were out there. None have proven to be as potent, I guess, is the lack of it for a better term, as Delta has been, correct?
That's correct. And so, there's sort of a son of Delta that's floating around in Great Britain right now. It's about 10% of the variants there. And the CDC has announced that it's in the United States. We haven't found it here. We started monitoring for it, I think, last week, as soon as the CDC put the word out. But a lot of variants come and go. And what's interesting is there seems to be a place phenomena with these variants. So, for example, in the United States, the Delta variant's the dominant one. In South America, it's the Lambda variant, and they have very little Delta. So we're not sure we understand why some variants take over in other places. But now, even with this new variant, it's not been seen to escape the vaccine. So the vaccines still seem to be working very well.
Again, if you are interested, we've got the link up there. If you want to take that survey on, you have a youngster you'd like to go ahead and get involved, we have the link on the website too, on our Facebook page, and you can go to the Galveston County Health District website. We talked right at the beginning, but numbers are trending down right now. I'm going to pull that up as you talk, but what do you account that for? Because there's not been really anything new as far as, obviously when we saw downward trends before, it was, mask mandates and everything else. We haven't had any of those outside of some schools that tried it, and that hasn't turned out. While there was a lot of yelling and screaming and saber rattling at the beginning, neither side has come out to to claim victory fully on the mask mandates in schools, and it's been kind of like let go by the wayside. But outside of that, what do you say is why we're not seeing a significant keep on rising? Is it people just gotten smarter how to deal with this now, or is it more people have gotten effective enough, or or what?
I wish I knew.
Basically, it's caused these ebbs and flows and doesn't have an exact thing we can pinpoint it to.
Yeah. So, after the other surges, we could pinpoint some things. Hey, we did something different. And then we started to see the numbers go down. I can't say we've done a whole lot different with this current surge, but the numbers have gone down and they continue to go down. And we're very happy about that. All I can say is that we've seen this phenomenon in other countries. Israel had a big drop once they reached about 70%. Great Britain had a huge drop in theirs. And now they're starting to see some resurgences as well. So, I don't think it's over. I've had some people say, I'm so glad we're finally done with this. I'm like, not sure about that yet. I hope you're right, but I'm not sure. And keep in mind that we still have about 95,000 people in our county alone, which is a little under a third of the people who still have some susceptibility to the virus. And so what that means is that's a pool of people that the virus can go and infect. And so I suspect that we may see another surge, like we did last year after the Christmas holidays. And hopefully it won't be as big because we've had a lot of people vaccinated.
As we said, right now there's 1,500 active cases, a total of 54,000 cases since last March. And going through now as well, the deaths still at 561 to go along the way. And of course, we always focus on hospitalization rates. We're going to go into current hospitalization rates right now. and at this point, it's 31 people in the hospital.
Yeah.
That was over not too long ago. That was over 100.
That's right. And in fact, this weekend it was about 50, or it was 40.
Right.
It went under 50 on Sunday, and now it's gone even less. So, so everything is looking good. And I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, because we're very happy about it, and it makes our lives a lot easier. But I don't think it's necessarily over yet. We may see another surge, or we may see mini surges, and we may see this going like a roller coaster ride for the next year or so. I don't know.
Is it also too that maybe that it's more to do with treatments are better now, how to do therapies and the like? Not necessarily there's a magic pill, but now knowing certain times when to do certain procedures is also been better.
Yeah, well, that's something that we really hadn't really looked at, but that's certainly a possibility. If you follow the number of people who got antibodies infusions around the time of our last surge, it really follows the surge. But also realize that those people who were symptomatic with COVID, by getting those antibodies, it not only reduced their symptoms, it also reduced their infectivity. So it may have reduced the number of people that they were able to infect. Now, whatever it is, I think it's a combination of things. And clearly, the fewer people you have in your community that are active, the less likely you are to have cases. And so that's where we are now. At one point, we had over 5,000 active cases. Now we're down to about 1,500, and we're got a little over 30 people in the hospital. That's really pretty remarkable.
Before we wrap up here, and again, folks, if you've been watching here and you're living in Dickinson, avoid Easy Street. We have a police standoff with a potential hostage situation there. Our own Adrian Zepeda is on scene now. We'll have a report here shortly for that. So, sorry, as I said, we've been dealing with that. Breaking news happens when we're on the air here. And before we go, just double check and to see if we've got any more of outside of that. We've got our normal folks of our normal trolls coming in there. There was a question someone came in about is there one of the boosters the recommendation is if you're Pfizer, get Pfizer. Moderna, say with Moderna. We actually had a question from someone saying, well, I heard Moderna is a little bit better as the
I heard the same thing.
and right and I looked at some data, and there's a couple things that show up. Maybe it's a little effective here, but not as effective here. It's kind of weird, and but is there really that much of a difference between the two?
It's really hard to say. I mean, there are some studies, and they were talked a lot about in the past couple of weeks, that showed Moderna was a little bit better than Pfizer, and there's certainly people that have chosen to get their booster with Moderna instead of Pfizer. I'll fess up, and I actually got Moderna, but quite by accident. I said, okay, time here. I want my booster. They stuck it in my arm, and I go, what was that? And they go, oh, it was Moderna. So, not very responsible of me in that respect. But if you think about it, there's reason that if you get a different vaccine that has slightly different immunogenicity, that it might give you a little better boost. And certainly with J&J, someone said to me, no, I really want the Moderna vaccine. I'd say, okay, that's fine. But because it's probably a better vaccine. Moderna over Pfizer, who knows? Maybe a little better, maybe not. We'll see. But a lot of people have gone that route.
Gotcha. Dr. Philip Keiser, local health authority for Galveston County and the interim CEO of the Galveston County Health District, as well as Coastal Health and Wellness. As always, thanks for coming on with us. We appreciate it. One of the big things we'll be getting into as we kind of morph the show a little bit, we're going to be talking about the stuff that happens over the winter, like food safety. That'll be one of the things we'll talk about. The flu shots. You and I should tell, we had an off the air conversation about flu shots. You and I were used to be kind of these delay guys, I guess.
Right.
That we wait. I always wait till sometime in November. You'd always wait until December, and it was always wait until such time. We wanted to have max effectiveness by when we got into the heart of flu season, that January, February time. From there, but right now the encouragement is go ahead and get it done now.
Yeah.
It's the best, is the better move. So
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the better thing to do. And we haven't had a lot of flu yet, but the more people we get vaccinated, the less impact it'll have. Just like we've seen with COVID, these principles go across a wide variety of viruses.
gotcha. Dr. Kaiser, thanks for coming on with us. We appreciate it. If you have any questions you want to ask Dr. Kaiser each week, you can send those to us via our messages on the page directly, or you can wait until the show. We take those as well. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, this has been What You Need to Know with Dr. Philip Kaiser.